Hello, guys. Welcome to our April Inner Circle exclusive meeting with Home Office. I'm just going to go through a few announcements real quick. First of all, congrats on making it into the group this month. I told Julie that the y'all are our top producers from March. So congrats on making it into the group. I just would strongly suggest that you utilize the group to its fullest. So if you are new this month, or maybe you missed last month, or maybe you've been in here every month, just make sure that you're using the group to its full potential. There are tons and tons of posts, tons of information. The resources are just really unlimited. The group of SSDs that put this together, the only reason that we were able to put this together is because we went out of our comfort zone to meet each other. I don't think anyone is in anyone else's downline or anything with our group. So y'all have to remember that the only reason that we are together and able to do something like this is because we got out of our comfort zone to meet other like-minded people. Okay, so I strongly encourage that you do the same. If you see someone that inspires you or is sharing a lot that or something that you love, reach out to them one-on-one, add them on Facebook. Really connect with people outside of your lineage because it just can make the biggest difference in your business. Always going to do the SFR plug. So make sure that you're registered. In person is obviously what we talked about it, or Andy talked about it last month pretty strongly, but in person is the way to go. As a leader, you got to show up to go up. And coming in person, though there is the virtual option, and that's amazing, there is nothing like being in person. Nothing like seeing that people actually exist, being able to hug them and see that them in person instead of through a computer screen is something that cannot be compared. So if you cannot make it in person, well, if you want to make it in person, but maybe financially you're struggling trying to figure out how to do that, reach out to your SSD. We can make a plan to make that work and figure it out. You can bunk up with other people in a hotel. You can pack your lunches. There are ways to make it cheaper and doable for anybody. If all else fails, everyone should definitely be registered for at least virtual. $52, I think. So something that is everyone should be doing. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. We have the amazing Julie from Home Office. She is the consultant development manager, and she's going to talk about behavior change and leadership. So the floor is all yours. I'm going to make you a spotlight.
Oh my goodness, spotlight.
Well,
Oh my word. Well, hi everybody. I'm super excited to join you today. I was saying before we kind of started the call that last week was really heavy for us here at home office. It continues to be kind of heavy. And being able to be reminded of why we do what we do here by being and seeing consultants is really helping heal us a little. So, thank you for being on this call and for doing so well in the last month. I can't say that I've ever had like people listen to me as like a treat or reward for any reason, but yay! Like, I'm here at home office right now. I'm always in this room on this blue wall, and I'm like, should I just show you where I am? Like, I don't. It's really boring. Um, there's the door. It's a conference room. We have pretty colors on the wall. Um, but I'm on the sixth floor. So to my left over here is Chuck and Susan's offices, and down over here is the learning and development area, and that way straight ahead of me is Heidi Norval's office, and then Dan's office, and a few other offices. So not sure if you guys may have already all been to the office, and you're like, yeah, 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 but just orienting you on where I'm at. Um, like uh like you guys introduced me, Whitney said, I'm Julie Timmig. I'm on the consultant development and training team. I've been with Sensi since 2020. Before that point, I came here from teaching high school. I was a high school teacher. So when I say I don't think anybody's ever listened to me as a treat, I think I actually mean it. But I taught high school and I loved it, but it was time for me to move on, and I'm really grateful to be here at Scentsy. I'm I'm excited about today's topic. This is a training I've given before, but it's been a minute, and it's something that I really get passionate and excited about. And it's about behavior change. And I think right now in the company, especially, we are in this moment of we got to get going, we got to get moving, and we have to maybe try things we've never tried before, and we have to be willing to let things change. Um, in ways that maybe we haven't thought of yet. And then when those changes happen, we've got to get on board for them. Uh, and just the psychology and like some of the motivation around behavior change is really interesting. So I'm going to start off with a video, and I might need, let's see. Oh, I do have access. Oh, look at that. I was going to say I might need access to do that. I'm used to hosting Spark sessions, so I'm like kind of used to being on Zoom all day. All right, so this is the video I'm going to show. I hope you can hear it. Let me know if you can't. Here we go.
Oh, we can't see it. Sorry, Julie, we can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
I see your Zoom.
Oh,
I
you
see
see
your-
my Zoom screen.
I
That's
see
really
your.
weird. You could hear
What?
it, but you couldn't see it. Let me try that again.
I'm not the only one, right? Y'all couldn't see it. Okay.
Okay. Now you should see a cute blue background and a cloud.
Perfect.
Okay, good. Okay.
you.
All right, here we go.
Psychologists know that there are two systems in our brains,
And it's in
the
French.
rational system and the emotional system. Jonathan Haidt, who's a psychologist at NYU, came up with a great analogy for these two systems. He said, think of your brain as a human rider atop an elephant. The rider represents the rational system. That's the part of us that plans and problem solves. The rider might do some analyzing and decide, hey, I want to go that way. But it's the elephant, representing the emotional system, that provides the power for the journey. The rider can try to lead the elephant or drag the elephant, but if these two ever disagree, who would you bet on? The elephant has a 6-ton weight advantage, and it's exactly that power imbalance that makes adopting new behaviors very hard. If you want this duo to head a new direction, you also need to think about the path, which represents the external environment. This duo is more likely to complete a journey if you can shorten the distance and remove any obstacles in their way. So bottom line, if you want to lead change, you've got to do 3 things. Give direction to the rider, knowledge of how to get to the destination. You've got to motivate the elephant, which means tapping into emotion. And finally, you need to shape the path to allow for easy progress. That's how change happens.
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys have seen that before. Oop, I'm trying to share with you again. But this is a really interesting concept of the rider and the elephant. And I'm going to review a little bit as I share my screen with you, my PowerPoint. If everything's going to work for me today, that would be ideal. You guys see it? Okay, good. So, first things first, I guess, with this, a lot of this content that I have, and I love giving book recommendations when I can, a lot of this content that I have came from the book Switch, How to Change Things When Change is Hard, and that's from Dan and Cheap Heath. I love this book. It was kind of part of my master's program. It was one of our extracurricular books, and I love this book. It's probably time for me to read it again. Let's just dive into this a little bit more. So in the video, we heard him say, our brains have 2 systems, and you're going to see why you need them, both systems, in a little bit. We have our rational side, And that's the side that works with plans. It works with problem solving. That's our rider, right? It's the rider. And we also have our emotional side. That's the motivation that we need to power our journey. This is our elephant. Additionally, we have to think about the external environment. So that's the path. And that influences both the rider and the elephant. What the path looks like influences your rational and your emotional side. And in a simple way, maybe not so simple, in order to lead change in yourself and in others, you need to do or remember these things. All right. So first, you have to give direction to the rider. So your rider is your rational side. Technically speaking, the rider is the smallest piece of the puzzle. You think about it, you see a path in front of you and you have an elephant, right? The smallest piece is that rational side. You give the rider context to help decide, to help them get there, help them find the bright spots, and help them reduce that mental paralysis of getting to a goal by pointing to the goal. So I'm curious, in the chat, will you guys what does this look like for you in your business, in yourself? What does it look like when you're using your rational side? How do you communicate as that rational side? You could put that in the chat. Love to see it. Making a goal list. Yes. Maggie says this is the most relatable content you've seen. I love that. Setting goals. Yeah, you're mapping out logistically what has to happen, right? You're going logically, in order to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I have to have peanut butter, I have to have jelly, I have to have bread, right? You're making those 2-year plan, to-do list, planning out what I want to achieve. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the things that can look like that rational side is part of what you need for change. And remember, it's the smallest part. Next, let's see if it's going to click. You have to motivate the elephant. You have to tap into the emotional side. You don't usually need to hammer into the emotional side. I would say like you can touch into that side because you have to remember how strong the elephant is, right? The elephant is big and it represents the emotional side for a reason. The elephant is going to end up doing what the elephant wants to do. Doesn't want to move? It's not gonna. It wants to go left instead of right? It's gonna do it. It can overpower the rider. The emotional side can overpower the rational side. So remember that the elephant can also serve as a reminder for the rider. Why are you doing what you're doing? Right? This is when we talk about your why a lot in Sensi. The elephant is it's the elephant in the room. It tells you, why are you doing this? It reminds you what you're doing it for. Okay? The elephant also helps shrink the change. So if you're using your emotional side, you can look at a change up, as an elephant and go, wow, that's actually really small. Because I'm using my emotional side to put it into perspective. Shrink the change with reflection and build that confidence and emotion through tapping in, not hammering in, but tapping into that emotional side. So in the chat, again, have you had moments where the elephant has overpowered the rider? And what do they look like? And what's the result? What moments have you had where the elephant has overpowered the rider? And what does it look like? Oh, catching up. As a rider, you have to keep your eyes up so you know where you're going. Absolutely you do. Not getting out of your comfort zone won't help you grow. When I started getting out of my comfort zone, yeah. With that emotional side, right? I don't want to put myself out there because that's scary for me. When you know in your rational side, if I did go out there, I would meet more people, right? I would meet more people, potentially meet more customers. My rational side knows that. My emotional side is scared to death. The emotional side is bigger, it wins. right? Yeah. So comparison, getting past that first hello, burnout, comparing myself to others. Yeah. Like I said, you don't have to hammer into the emotional side. You know where it is, the big old elephant. Fear that I'm not doing enough, so I don't do anything. It paralyzes you. And that's what the rider is there for, right? The rider's there to make sure that that paralysis doesn't happen. Yeah. Good, good. Okay. So finally, to lead change, you need to shape the path. So this helps make the change easier. It shows you progress and achieving small, like success in small steps at a time can help you to continue to be motivated for change. So you can reduce obstacles, you can clear the path of debris, you can tweak the environment by building habits to create routines. And this one's interesting. In the video, I like how the animation showed the path. They deleted part of the path. They like erased it and then they made it straighter. They took out the rocks and the trees and they cleared it away, right? Good leadership and good change management means that somebody is in your court helping to clear the path. So this is where you can rally the herd in a way, and you can have a whole network of support to shape that path. I mean, I don't know about you, but like yard work can be really overwhelming. I usually don't want to do it by myself, and I have a tiny backyard. I'm thinking about like a path in the wilderness. I'm going to need some help to clear that up so that my elephant's feet don't get hurt and stop, right? I want to make sure that I'm in a spot where I can clear the way for other people to come behind me when I'm leading the change. So one glaring thing sticks out to me about all of this, and that is that change is stinking hard. It's hard. Why is it so difficult? Why? So for change in ourselves and to lead change in others, you have to access all three and not spend time in just one. And that's difficult. Did you see how quickly we could say, here's some things where the elephants overpowered the rider, right? It's fast because the elephant is big and it's easy to focus on. But if you're going to lead change, you have to have all three of them having the same amount of weight. You can't give all your attention to the rider, right? You can't only think with your logical brain and ignore the elephant in the path. You have to know where you're going, and you have to have the human emotion to be able to make the correct decisions as well. Also, obstacles affect everything and they prevent progress. Like I said, if there's a big rock in the middle of the road, it doesn't matter how in line your elephant and rider are. They're still going to fall over that rock, or they're going to not be able to get around it. So the obstacles in front of you make all the difference. So clearing the obstacles can be completely game-changing. And you also need to identify the things that are holding back your progress. Is your elephant's tail tied to a post behind you? Well, that's going to be a problem, right? If you're trying to just stay back and you're not looking forward, you're not even going to see what obstacles are in front of you to clear. So you have to continue to look forward in order to continue the change. Additionally, helpers along the path can make all the difference. So are you surrounded? This can something you can be asking yourself in the midst of change is, am I surrounding myself with good helpers? Or am I surrounding myself with distractions? Right? And a good helper could be people, it could be systems, it could be habits that you have, it could be things that help you to stay on track. For me, I have ADHD, and I struggle with time, just knowing when time changes. It's like I have a bad circadian rhythm. It's just a whole thing. I don't know whether 10 minutes has gone by or an hour and a half. I have no clue. So I have to have things in place for myself to know like I need to have my phone nearby so I could see the time. Should I get a watch? Yes, probably. That's a whole change management thing for me. But it's real. Like those systems, those accommodations that you make for yourself can help to clear the path. If there's nobody on the path, and if there's no helpers on the path, it's going to be harder to go on the path, right? Even if sometimes you look down the path and you say, oh my gosh, my mom's over there and she's cheering me on, right? Even if it's just a few cheerleaders, it's easier to move the elephant and the rider because you see the people that are there. So things to think about. But it is really difficult because you have to be in balance with the three things at once. You can't give more weight to one than the other. You have to be considering all three. All right. So I figured we probably should do a scenario. And we can do this in the chat. So a change is needed here in this scenario. You have a consultant in your downline, maybe, just a consultant that you know. You have somebody who is feeling ready to give up. They came to you, they're discouraged, they're burned out. They used to be really motivated to succeed and they're not motivated anymore. How do you help them to lead that change? Well, first, we talked about this, right? Address the rider. So first, somebody comes to you, I'm burned out, I'm ready to call it quits. First, you address the rider. You say, I'm going to look for that information and those knowledge gaps that they have. Logically, rationally, what are they missing? Are they frustrated because they don't have enough information or education? What are some of the things that they've tried? What are some of their assumptions? Have they made any assumptions about where, for example, they could say, well, the economy's really bad. Nobody wants to buy anymore. So why try, right? If I had $1 for every time I heard that. And this, I think it's important to note that assumptions is a better word than excuses, because I think excuses tend to rouse the elephant into defense mode, right? You come to somebody with you saying, oh, that's an excuse. That automatically has a different connotation than what are some of the assumptions that you have, right? It's a little softer. So just being nice to the elephant. Where can you, as their leader, mentor and teach them to give them the tools that they don't have yet? So you're addressing the rider by looking around for opportunities to educate, and you're addressing the rider to identify the things that are holding them back because of what their mind is telling them. Okay? Or maybe some little bit of evidence, or just talking to them in that rational way. The next thing you do is address the elephant. You're going to talk about what makes them want to get up every day, what makes them smile. Listen to the passions, right? Elephants are really strong. So much so that they are stronger than what is preventing the change and progress. Is an elephant stronger than a fallen down tree? Yep. So it can move. It can move the things out of the way that it needs to. It's stronger. They just need the nudge, right? So addressing the elephant, remind them what they're here for, and really just be there for that part of the journey. All right, next. Explore and shape the path together. We talked about helpers along the way of the path, right? And how it's so much easier to do yard work or to clear a path when somebody's helping you do it. So what is cluttering their path? What's in the way? Other people could be in the way. Friend, family attitudes could be in the way. Lack of time could be in the way. Lack of money, lack of other resources. Identify what is in the way, because as their leader, you need to help them identify what's in the way for the elephant so that the elephant and the rider can succeed. So find opportunities to help them declutter the path, and then see if their elephant and rider are more willing to move forward because you have helped them along that way. All right. So that's the sequence of events. Let's take it a step further. What if this applied to you? if you're discouraged, if you're burned out, if you're not motivated, you feel like you're not leading, you're not modeling the way, right? Yikes. I'm sure we've all felt a level of that at some point, maybe even now. I know that it's been a rough go here at home office, so I know that it's been hard to be motivated. But I know that I have my own rider and my own path and my own elephant. So, what do we do? And in the chat, I want to talk about it. So let's address the rider first. If this was you, if you were not motivated, if you were burned out, if you were feeling discouraged, how would you address your rational side? How do you address the rider? I'll probably should open up the chat so I can look at it. How do you address the rider? How do you address your rational side? I'm burned out. I'm catching up. Yeah, it doesn't just apply to downline for sure. I'm reading that too. Break down tasks into small, realistic activities. Yeah. Yeah. Take a logical look at what has to be done and see if you can do it in smaller chunks. Prioritize what's needed. Daily bare minimum tasks to support a healthy business. And maybe cutting back on the fluff is going to help your rider and elephant feel a little more motivated to go on the path. Remind myself why I started the journey. Yeah, that's a good way to address the elephant. Addressing the rider, you're right. It's all about finding these are the facts. This is what has to happen. I need these things to happen for myself. Okay, so how do you address the elephant? Your emotional side. I'm feeling disengaged. I'm feeling discouraged. How do I talk to my emotional side so that I can move forward? How do I talk to my emotional side? Yeah, self-care and remembering my why. Sometimes when you're burned out, you just need to balance what's going on, right? Sometimes you got to step away, and that can help you to move forward later as well. Remembering my why, focusing on benefits. I like to organize, helps me feel energy. I can move forward. Yeah. Taking control of something, okay, taking control even of your physical environment can help you feel motivated to change. Absolutely. Yeah. No feeling is permanent. Feelings aren't facts. It's true. Feelings are not facts and feelings aren't permanent. And the emotional side does tend to override at some point. Taking control of things you can control and letting go of things you can't. Yeah. And that can be really hard to do. But if you're using your rider and your elephant at the same time, you can go, logically, I know I don't have to worry about this because it's not my job, not my problem, not something I have to do. And I can release myself from that emotional pain if I do it, right? You use the two together to release yourself from some of those things that get in the way. Have an energy log. Oh, I like that. Track things that will give positive energy and things that motivate you and negative energy. Yeah. Oh, I like it. Taking control of things. Yeah. Good. Okay. And last one, if this were you, disengaged, discouraged, not knowing what to do next, how do you explore and shape your path? What would you do to make the path a little easier to navigate? How far ahead in the path would you look? Sometimes that's an interesting thing to do. How far ahead can you see on the path? If you can see super, super far in the future, is that enough motivation to clear the things in right in front of you? Anybody in the chat want to share? What would you, I know everybody's kind of thinking, what do you do to explore and shape the path? Come up with a clear and concise group of systems and goals. Yes. Reach out to someone who's been there and brainstorm ways to get out of the storm. Ooh, I like it. Focus on the IPAs, quit the fluff. Yeah, take it one step at a time, not get overwhelmed. Yeah, nobody says the elephant has to stampede, right? No, but you don't have to. You can let that elephant move just a little bit at a time, but making sure you're keeping things in balance as best you can, thinking of all three aspects can really be an important step. I just work that day because whatever I put in my business will show results later on. Yeah. Almost like you have to blindfold the elephant. Like, can I blindfold the elephant temporarily and just see what happens, and then take the blindfold off the elephant and see if I need to recalibrate? I feel like if you do blindfold the elephant for too long, you just kind of push through burnout, eventually the elephant's not going to be on the path anymore, right? So it would be a temporary move, but one that could help. Stay consistent, plan ahead when you can. Good. Great. Ooh, that was a good exercise. Okay. Let's just remember a few things. Remember this. The rider and the elephant have to be empowered to move forward together. Elephant can't just go off on its own. Nothing, it's going to end up all the way over there somewhere. And the rider is going to get really tired without the elephant's help. So you have to have both. The elephant's strength, sometimes stubbornness, right? Can waver from day to day. You got to remember that it might not want to move. And if you have to decide, is today the day to push that elephant as hard as I can? Or is today the day to let the elephant lay down and take a break? And that's okay, right? Not losing sight of the path is what's important. Being able to make progress at some point on the path is important, but not, you don't need the elephant to stampede, and you don't need the elephant to be dragged either. That would be really hard. Any progress is still progress towards change, and celebrate and encourage those consistent and small steps that you make. As your rider side and your elephant side, they both need to feel like, yeah, I'm doing something worthwhile. Something is changing, and even if it's small, I know I'm on my way there. All right, that was the end of my slideshow. I love talking about motivation because I think it's something that we can be so hard on ourselves about. Like, I need to just do it. I need to just go for it. And I think once you give enough love and attention to the rider and the elephant, and you know, and you can see in front of you that path and what's in it, I think you start to understand that change is complex for a reason. And we have the capabilities to do it once we put those things together rather than separating them out or only paying attention to one. I hope this was a helpful little thing today. It was really fun to chat with you guys. Thanks for being involved in the chat. I feel like I need to check in a little bit and see some of the things that were said while I was talking, but
It was so good. So good. And I feel like so many people in our business need to hear this. I love a good analogy. So that kind of like broke it down to how to think it through. And sometimes when I'll speak for me personally, well, when you were saying, does anyone have this? I think we all have those teammates who are at that point where they are the stubborn, in their feels, not sure which way to go kind of thing. So I loved it. It was amazing. Does anyone have any questions for Julie? If not, we can go ahead and stop the recording.
Would I have